Dan salam sejahtera, nama saya Teoh, hos anda untuk Sudut Pandang malam ini, dan saya ditemani hari ini dua orang anak muda tempatan, namanya ialah Michael Teoh dan Teoh. Dan Michael di sebelah saya ini merupakan pemenang pertandingan Your Big Year 2011 yang menawarkan satu peluang untuk mengembara seluruh dunia untuk melakukan kerja-kerja sosial dan kerja-kerja kemasyarakatan. Dan di sebelahnya pula ialah Teoh yang akan mewakili Malaysia pertandingan yang sama yang akan berlangsung di Liverpool bulan depan. Dan saya ingin meneruskan rancangan dalam bahasa Inggeris. I'd like to thank both of you to be here. Michael, welcome back again.
Thank you.
Well, if there's one thing I can summarize from 2011 is that the young people and social media has shaped the world, I would say.
Definitely.
Take an example like the Arab Spring.
Yes.
And here now we have a similar movement with similar mechanisms drove by these young people and social media, and that seeks to drive change across different countries and different issues.
That's true.
And that is the competition that you won last year, which is Your Big Year.
That's true.
Can you tell us more about what is this competition and how does it change? How would it change the world? Why is this so important?
Well, let's start from the very beginning when the competition was created back in the year 2010. Where they had 45,000 people from 168 countries who participated in its inaugural year. And during that time, when they had to select, the mission was to select the first global ambassador that could best represent the young people, social entrepreneurship, global citizenship, or volunteerism, just basically doing good. So what happened was, in order to tap into such a huge number of people, they used social media to spearhead campaigns. For example, raise funds for charitable bodies, volunteer in a local charitable organization in your country. What I did was basically to produce a 3-minute video highlighting why Malaysia was a good place to do business and to live in, and to raise votes online. But of course, that was the past. That was how I qualified to the final round of the competition in the UK, where again I was paired with 23 other very highly competitive people, where we would then had to compete in different challenges like The Apprentice for close to 10 days, pretty much consulting the British government, agencies, social enterprises, charitable bodies, even schools and universities on how their students could create bigger impact for their community. And what happened was, from the 24 finalists, we were shortlisted to the final 8, where then again, we were pitted to actually give a 10-minute pitch. It was an election where we had to share our goals with two types of audiences: a live audience that was gathered in Liverpool, UK during that time, and also an audience watching online where they had to vote for the world's first global ambassador. And I guess people were voting for who could actually give the most out of winning this trip for that year.
Okay, but what is the significance of this youth movement, this Your Big Year?
I believe the significance is that it managed to bridge out across countries. 168 countries during my time. This year, Crystal's year, there's 221 countries. Amazing. It just keeps growing. Shows that young people with the access to technology, with better education, are actually willing to give back. That's why the number has rose up throughout this 1 year. But the significance here is that after winning the competition, after I was given the opportunity to be a global ambassador, I had to travel to 22 countries volunteering, hands-on, on humanitarian and environmental conservation projects. A lot of times, a lot of parties claim young people, you only know how to make loud noises, but you don't follow up with action. Well, I've done it. I've seen how other young volunteers, nameless by a lot of people who have contributed their time, they are still students, volunteering to build wells for families in Peru, volunteering to build houses for the hardcore, the deprived community in Colombia, to even volunteering in the safari conservation of lions in countries like Kenya. So I've seen the power of what young people can do, and I'm glad through Your Big Year, they're actually crowdsourcing this very passionate group to mobilize such movement. So it's not only about making a lot of noise and creating awareness, it's followed up with hands-on action.
Okay, right, Crystal, you definitely have big shoes to fill in soon, but can you just walk us through your journey? I mean, what inspired you to join this Your Big Year in the first place, and how has it been so far? What do you expect to achieve?
Okay, well, I found out about the Your Big Year competition when I was browsing through the newspaper one day, and I stumbled across this article with a face that looked very familiar, and I realized it was Michael. Yes, and I had met Michael some years back when I was interviewing him for my college magazine, and as I began to read the article and Google on the internet what was this Your Big Year all about, I realized it was really tied back to two of my big passions, which is to travel and also to make a difference, especially by championing youth empowerment. So it has been a very interesting journey.
tell us about some of the qualification rounds that you have to go through. I heard that it was intense, right?
It was very intense. I actually joined the competition late, so the other competitors had already had about a month of campaigning for votes. That was the first stage. You had to. So what we had to do was we had to get as many points by online voting and by getting our friends to watch awareness with videos about the organizers, Smaller Earth, and they had to watch the videos and answer questions relating back to their organization. So it's not those simple Facebook votes where you just click like and your vote goes in. So it actually took a lot of effort and a lot of support from my friends and family, and that was the first round. And in the second round, we actually had to do things like find personalities to interview on video. So I got to interview some cool people like Deborah Henry and Joel Neo, interesting people like that. And also, we had to actually plan an event in collaboration with Global Entrepreneurship Week, which was a big challenge because when they gave out that task, the Global Entrepreneurship Week was only 3 weeks away. And I was like, how am I going to pull together an event in 3 weeks? But it just so happened, it was very funny that the timing was perfect because I found that two other friends, these two sisters, they had just started up a new company called Culture Run, and basically what they do is just about giving learning back to the community. And I thought that's really tied back to innovation and the whole theme of entrepreneurship. So actually we collaborated and we did this event where we got speakers from all over, all different fields to come and share their ideas on creativity and innovation, and we got some good coverage. We got a lot of, we got sponsors and really great panel speakers for that.
Okay,
So-
well, Michael, you will be stepping in to help coach Crystal here. And what does it take to be a global youth leader? I'm sure she wants to know that as well.
I believe one of the most important thing, despite what people may say it's not important, I believe it is public speaking skills.
Yes.
If you cannot inspire, if you cannot influence, it's actually very challenging to get people roused up to take action. Quoting from an example from my world trip, I gave a speech to a group of young people in a university in Colombia, 800 of them, and they challenged me saying, Michael, why not we dedicate 4 days, just a weekend, to build houses for the hardcore poor? And guess what? At the end of the day, 800 of these students went out. We've managed to construct not less than 400 to 500 new homes. We have provided new homes, new shelters for these families who were once deprived of it. So again, that's a success story of how articulate and how good public speaking skills can really help you. Secondly, I also believe it's to be a global citizen. It's a great mark for a global ambassador as well. In a sense, you understand the sensitivity of other cultures, you appreciate, you respect one another, and also you do your homework to study what are the crises or issues that they're facing. You study about the solutions that you can share with them and work with your local people.
I'm sure you have interesting experiences throughout your travels to 22 countries, right, to be exact?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go for a short commercial break, but we will be back shortly to hear Michael's journey last year. Stay with us.
Setiap Khamis, analisis awani dalam diskusi.
Berdaya saing dan berdaya maju itu matlamat kita menjelang tahun 2020.
Apakah nilai-nilai sempurna yang ada pada satu-satu masyarakat?
Perdebatan isu semasa.
Tidak ada satu bandaraya di dunia ini yang boleh memenuhi semua kehendak penduduk.
Bagaimana kita menjadikan KL itu sebagai tempat yang seronok juga untuk tinggal selain untuk bekerja.
Analisis awani 5 petang di Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi.
Isnin hingga Jumaat, Sukan Awani bersama
Saya Ian Johan Arif.
Saya Syamil Izzuan Azizan.
Bersama saya Zuhail Mizan Azam.
Bersama saya Fazri Aziz.
Memaparkan perkembangan sukan antarabangsa dan tempatan.
Kejayaan atlet dan isu semasa dalam dan luar negara.
Sukan Awani, Isnin hingga Jumaat 3 kali sehari hanya di Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi.
Februari ini, Astro Prima membawakan anda berita padat dan terkini.
Berterusan akan dijalankan
sebelum penemuan itu, suami isteri,
iaitu peningkatan sebanyak 148 tan.
Perkembangan sukan dalam dan luar negara.
sekaligus menewaskan penjaga gol Malaga Willy Cabral.
Ayuni bertekad menebus duka.
Segalanya dibawakan khas untuk anda hanya di Astro Prima.
Setiap Isnin hingga Sabtu, Gala TV membawakan anda secara langsung 4.30 petang, 10.30 malam. Gala TV, buletin hiburan tempatan dan antarabangsa, memaparkan perkembangan muzik, filem, teater, fashion, temu buat eksklusif. Gala TV, Isnin hingga Sabtu, 4.30 petang, 10.30 malam di Astro Awani. Berita segenap dimensi.
Welcome back. I will go straight to Michael. You have been to 22 countries. You have done numerous things. And what is the most meaningful experience for you?
I believe in all these 22 countries, they're all meaningful because we address different community issues that are there. We're there as volunteers, but I'm proud to share that we have done a tabulation of the lives that we have potentially impacted. On a face value, I could say that we have impacted around 300,000 lives. Now, pretty much from the projects I've been volunteering last year, building wells for families in Peru, working in a hard labor situation, but at the end of the day, when you see that the wells you have built have managed to provide clean water to 108 families, that's really strong. When I volunteered in the orphanages in South Africa, pretty much caring for the little kids and the babies, we have actually provided them a glimmer of hope to live on. And that's the intricate part. But what's more important was that I volunteer from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That was part of my job, what I call leadership by example as a global ambassador. But during the evening, I also believe in engaging the youths and to inspire them to take action, which is why I give speeches in every single country I've been to, in universities, in public forums, to actually ignite that inspiration about young people, to tell them that you do not need to wait until policy change to actually be part of change. Okay. Most importantly is you do something today, you take action, you contribute your energy, you channel your passion, your enthusiasm to the right channel. And there are platforms available. I think the only challenge that young people have today is, are you looking hard enough? We have seen a lot of platforms.
Crystal, do you agree that the challenge for youth now is they do not have the platform, or do you have other opinions on what are the challenges what are the barriers that faces youth now?
I think youth today have a lot more opportunities than they ever have had before, and I think it's true. It's for those people that feel they lack opportunities, it's probably because they are not looking hard enough. I think with the internet there is so much, as long as we have access to the internet, then we have access to a global wealth of knowledge, and the internet leverages the playing field. I don't think it matters so much about what your background is, or whether you come from a developed country or a third world country with the internet, because you have access to all the information and all the skills and all the resources worldwide. So I think sometimes that we have too many options that we actually get spoiled for choice, and I think that is the challenge, to actually find which opportunity is the most meaningful opportunity for each individual.
Okay, let's take the context of Malaysia. We have diverse demographics of youth. We have the urban, we have the non-urban, we have young leaders like yourself, and we have young people who are marginalized as well. And when you're appointed as a youth leader, there are tons of expectations. And what do you think about this? I mean, how would you manage this? Perhaps I'll go to Crystal first. I'm sure this is something that will come out sooner or later, because we look at you as an ambassador, right? So what do you think?
I think for me, what's really important to me is to really stay rooted, to really stay connected to my background and my identity. And I don't come from I come from a humble background, and it's those experiences when I was growing up. There were times when things were tough, when money was tight, and those experiences really shaped me and molded me, because I always told myself I want to do better, so that I want to do better for my kids. I mean, my parents were amazing, but I always had this mentality of wanting to do better, and always wanting to invest in the next generation so that they can be better, because I think that should be the way we do things. The next generation should be able to do more, should be able to go further because of the previous generation investing into their lives.
Let's say if you were to be selected as the Global Youth Ambassador, what do you want to do for Malaysia?
For Malaysia, I think youth have always been close to my heart because I grew up leading youth groups and being involved in student-led initiatives, and I think that what I would really like to do is be able to be a role model, to be able to be a voice for young people, to make a difference, to be the difference, in fact, because I think in Malaysia we always have this mentality that we don't have as many opportunities as developed countries. We are still a third world country, and in certain things, especially like maybe media and the arts especially, I think we feel that we are always behind compared to the other countries, but I don't think that is the case. I think we have so much to offer because I know so many friends who are taking taking so many risks to venture out into these things that Malaysia is not usually known as being strong for, and the sad part is that a lot of people feel they have to pursue these initiatives like art. If they really want to go far and succeed, they feel like they have to go overseas or leave Malaysia, and I don't think that's true. I think what I hope to do is to be able to inspire young people to actually give back to their country and actually, instead of looking for greener pastures elsewhere, be the ones that would build up the industry in Malaysia.
Okay, and we talk about exemplary young leaders. Of course, we have Michael, who has made it big, representing Malaysia, and you have met with Nobel Prize winners, and you have met with prime ministers, presidents, and you even met with Obama's grandmother, right?
Yes, I took
Can you please tell us more about it?
It was in Kenya. I was volunteering in an orphanage over there, and a good friend of mine invited me to give a speech at the United Nations complex, addressing 500 young leaders from Africa about the need why they should stop complaining and help their country.
Okay.
So what happened was then a good friend of mine came and said, you should meet President Barack Obama's grandmother, who still lives in Kenya.
Okay.
And I thought, that's interesting. So I took a 12-hour bus ride on a bus crammed with 40 over people, though it was only meant for 30. Great experience. Went there and had a 2-hour meeting with her. And what I really wanted to get out of her was, what were the leadership qualities that made her grandson a global leader today, President Barack Obama? And of course,
so what did she say about the
articulation? Again, she said, you have to be able to connect with people. People have to believe and invest their trust into you. Secondly, it's also belief and also obedience towards elders, being open to hear advice and criticism and take proactive steps to improve one's performance, which I think that's what President Barack Obama is doing. It's just amazing. Even our own Prime Minister, Dato Sri Najib, has been doing a lot of initiatives to listen to the grassroots, especially young people. So I'm really glad that when I go to these different countries, I'm proud to say that we are in the right path. And back to your question where you asked what is the role of a global ambassador, I think it works two ways. Number one, to go out to the world, to tell the world what we are doing right, but at the same time as we're going out to the world to ask them, what are you doing right that we can learn to help our people here? So I think that's the way to go.
Okay, I will need to go for the last commercial break, but when we come back, there's this movement that happened yesterday which involved, 300,000 people? So we will be talking about that later, and let's go for a short break and we'll be back shortly.
Friday. Technology plays an integral role in every aspect of our lives. At Gadget Nation, we embrace technology, gadgets, and video games. Join Adam Carathis and the master gamer Avery Score on the expedition in the world of technology. Find us on Facebook and Twitter to share your thoughts about the show. Gadget Nation. Every Friday at 9:30 p.m. exclusively on Astro Awani.
Blockbuster Ahad mempersembahkan satu filem Khair Rahman. Rahsia boleh dibawa ke kubur, tapi penyesalan tiada penghujungnya.
Inilah masalah kau. Jangan Tuhan kau nak salahkan.
Dalam botol.
Untuk melanggan, sila tekan butang merah di saluran 130.
Manusia bukan barangan. Manusia bukan hamba. Manusia dilahirkan merdeka. Tidak ada manusia yang dilahirkan untuk dijual beli atau didagang oleh seorang manusia yang lain. Satu Malaysia, pantras pemerdagangan orang dan penyeludupan migran. Hubungi 999.
Isnin hingga Kamis. Agenda Awani secara langsung bersama Ernie Sharif.
Nak datang sambutan Hari Wilayah.
Dewan Bandar Kuala Lumpur, Perbadanan Putrajaya dan Perbadanan Labuan dapat ditumpukan kepada bidang-bidang yang penting.
Kemunculan rancangan terbaru terbitan Astro on air.
Melahirkan pengacara baru yang berpadat dengan isi pengetahuan meluas, menjadikan mereka pengacara yang lengkap dengan pakej.
Agenda Awani 8.15 malam di Astro Awani. Berita segenap dimensi.
Welcome back. Well, yesterday, thousands of young people in 84 countries simultaneously went on the social media. Some went on the street, some sent proposals and referendums to their governments to send a gentle reminder, a wake-up call to businesses, to corporate entities, to governments, to NGOs, to further some of their causes such as healthcare, education, equality for all. And Michael, I know that you are part of the founding member of this initiative. So could you perhaps tell us more about this and why is this a significant project?
The Wake Up Call was founded last year when I was part in my world expedition, when I visited Zurich, Switzerland, to be a part of one of the largest youth gathering called One Young World. And then there were 6 other young global leaders who gathered around with me and said, hey, let's launch a movement that would be in the history books, but at the same time bring greater impact to our world. So we decided that the 21st of February 2012, 21212 was quite an auspicious date. It only happened once in our lifetime. So we would organize a movement spread across the world, reaching out to as many countries as we can, going through young leaders in their countries to actually send a wake-up call, a reminder and alert to a specific government leader or a specific business figure or NGO body that they must tackle the issue in their country.
Okay.
Now, how are we different from Occupy? No doubt, people have said that we have created a lot of noise. We became a top trending trend on Twitter when we were launched in Zurich, Switzerland, even on yesterday. And at this moment, the Middle East, the US, Latin America are all picking up. But this is important because we have to create awareness. So for the different countries that participate in the wake-up call, they have a very specific issue that they are actually sending the reminder to their governments, their businesses about. So we're not as spread out. We're not just another movement or people say syok sendiri. It's very specific. So that's the movement.
Can you give us some examples? Like, for example, in Malaysia, what is the wake-up call for us?
The wake-up call for Malaysia is led by a capable team where they are actually calling for certain government agencies to actually review policies to curb brain drain.
Right.
So that was the issue that the Malaysian youth that were leading the wake-up call, they were fighting for that. But of course, we have like people in Nepal where they're calling for their relevant ministries to create facilities so that disabled people can gain access to public places. We have also seen Indonesia where their young people are calling for their respective MPs and government to disclose their budget for the development of the country. So very specific calls, very actionable causes. We have just received so many news, like in the Philippines for the wake-up call. They actually flooded the presidential email telling the president that he needs to wake up to the issue that they're fighting. You know, so it's just amazing to see how young people can collaborate right now with social media. And that was how Your Big Year was also started.
Let's go, Crystal. Perhaps do you agree that brain drain is one of the top issues, or do you think there are other issues pressing issues that we should look into?
I think when it comes to, in terms of youth, I think that is a big issue, and I think especially as a fresh grad myself and seeing a lot of my friends go through this struggle of whether to seek greener pastures elsewhere or whether to stay in Malaysia, I think that is a very pressing issue, and it was one of the things that I brought up even in university when I was having a debate in class, and they were so blown away that we were actually facing such a serious issue in Malaysia. And I think that it's very encouraging to see that there is movements in the grassroots to bring graduates back to Malaysia, and not just any graduates, but graduates of high caliber. And I've seen that with Teach for Malaysia, the graduates that they bring in. I think that we need more things like that, because there can only be one Teach for Malaysia. There can only be a few schools that they handhold. But I think that it's really important that, because especially like you said earlier, people are looking to Asian economies, people are looking to the East, and we've seen how the economy is in Europe and in the US, and now is our opportunity. And I think that we have the advantage because we don't come from a developed country, so we are willing to work harder, we are willing to put in more effort. We don't come from a background where we've had it all, and we are not resting on our laurels in that sense. So I think there is a lot of opportunity for us, for youth, to grow and to and even in the country, the government is, like Michael said, doing a lot to listen to young people. Now more than ever, I think there are so many opportunities for youth to come back to Malaysia after they've gotten a good education abroad and come back and really invest and plant into the country that they call home.
Okay, well, I think, apart from getting them back, we have to do something to encourage them not to leave as well, because that will be better. Prevention is better than cure, right? And I have about 2 minutes left. I'd like to listen to Michael. Perhaps an advice to Crystal. It's going to be a tough competition this year, I believe, and she's going to go against 16 people. And surprisingly, they told me that most of these finalists are actually from Asia compared to last year.
Yes.
That you were probably one of the few finalists from this part of the world. Perhaps you could.
Well, what happened was, again, this is how powerful social media, technology, or just the willingness to share can actually go. Last year when I won the competition, I was the only Asian. So definitely a lot of Asian countries like the Philippines, Indonesia then wrote to me and said, we would like our young people to model after what you have done and to raise up the profile of Asian countries, which, they have contributed so many participants this year that it's just amazing. But one of the other things I want to bring our perspective into is that Malaysian talents are great. We have talents here. It wasn't a stroke of luck that a Malaysian won the global ambassadorial title last year.
Crystal is in the
Crystal
finalists.
made it to the top 16 this year from 60,000 people from 221 countries. She was proactive. We worked together in a sense where she seeked me out on Facebook. I've known her for a while, but I was busy traveling. She asked for tips. She improved herself. So I believe Malaysia do have the talent. I think right now the challenge is, are these young talents willing to be trained, willing to be mentored, willing to be guided on the right path?
All right.
So Crystal is a testament.
Well, I'll wish you all the best in your competition next month. And that's all the time that we have. But do check out Agenda Awani tomorrow, because we'll be talking more on the wake-up call movement. And that's all for tonight. And if you have any suggestions or any comments, you can send to Facebook and Twitter at Astro Awani, or you can email us at sudutpandang@astro.com. Sekian saja Sudut Pandang dan jumpa lagi.